folks, well, I'm back on the plot. I'm feeling a bit more positive, and I've got Nigel with me, and we're going to do a little bit of a allotment tour and share a few facts and figures and God knows what else. Okay folks, so what do you think then, Nigel?
Well, you've got some amazing colours here on the allotment, but I've just been looking at these potatoes here.
Oh yeah?
I've never seen flowers quite as pretty and as bright as that.
I know, aren't they beautiful? Just look at those folks.
Yeah, there was
absolutely stunning.
There was a Queen of France, I believe, Marie Antoinette, who used to put potato flowers in her hair.
Oh right.
And you can see why, because
so
every potato
pretty.
has a flower that's slightly different.
Yeah.
And so you can use it to identify them sometimes. Though some varieties don't have any flowers at all.
Yeah, yeah.
But this one...
and is it, with potatoes, is the general rule that the potatoes might be ready to pick 2 weeks after they're flowered, or is that just a myth?
Well, it's more or less right, but it's no good waiting for potatoes to flower if it's a variety that doesn't flower, because 50% of varieties don't produce flowers. They abort at just as they're starting to form, and they drop off.
Okay.
Or if you grow them in containers, they often don't flower.
Right.
But this one, I believe, is Sharpo, the Hungarian
Blue Danube.
Blue Danube, that's right, Sharpo Blue
Yeah.
Danube.
Okay.
So it's quite a beautiful flower.
It is, isn't it?
They used to pay, in Victorian times, they used to pay little children to take flowers off, because if you take all the flowers off, you get a slightly bigger yield of roots, of tubers.
Oh, right.
And they used to pay sort of a penny 100 flowers to these kids to take the flowers off.
Yeah, yeah.
You can imagine them doing that.
Yeah.
Right, which way are we going to go?
Right,
we could have a look at the... where shall we start? Shall we start with the fruit trees?
yeah, okay then, Nigel. Let's have a look. Right, folks, the first tree we're coming to is the plum tree. Now, this did lose all its leaves pretty well, but as you can see, it's recovered without any use of pesticides, etc. And there is still the odd plum left on it. I think I can see half a dozen on this tree.
Yeah, we don't know what the pest was. It could have been mites or some sort of insect that ate all the leaves, but you can see they've reformed now.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's looking okay again.
I had this same thing happen 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, look at... That's strange.
Oh, you've got some late blossom.
Hey?
Yeah.
That is late.
Yes. You often find with fruit trees that if you keep the tree small, it's much easier to control pests, but you've got to be constantly vigilant.
Right.
But obviously if you've got a common problem with plum trees is that if they get very large, you get the new growth at the top of the tree is very soft, and it attracts aphids. And aphids start to eat the leaves on the top of the tree, and they secrete honeydew, and that attracts wasps. So the wasps come into the tree, and as soon as the fruit starts to form, of course the wasps then divert their attention onto that because of the aphid problem.
Right. So
most of the fruit will rot. So you get an awful mess if you can't control the new growth on plum trees. Yeah,
so we were just talking, weren't we, Nigel? And we said we might have a go at taking 1 or 2 cuttings and see whether we can produce any new trees.
A lot of plum trees will take from cuttings. You can strike them from cuttings, particularly if you take the cuttings from fairly low down in the tree. I've got 3 plum trees at home that I did like this.
Right.
And
when we say cuttings, folks, we're talking about something like this, aren't we?
Yeah, something that looks a bit like this.
The ones what shoot straight up in the air, folks.
Yeah, you want them about as thick as a pencil and about 1 foot long.
Right.
That's 30 centimetres.
Okay. And now, is this the same principle when you take your cuttings for your grafting? Are they the same? Is it the scions? Or is that a different?
Yeah. They are similar, but with when you're grafting, you're looking for young wood, and you're not bothered about whether it could root or not. You're just taking young wood that you're going to make it reproduce
But is
itself.
it genuinely these pieces what stick straight up in the air? Or
yeah.
Yeah.
But on a plum tree, if you're trying to strike cuttings, it's best not to get the high ones, but the ones that are lower.
Lower.
But you want the stuff that's going vertically.
Right. Okay.
Oh.
So what we're looking at here, folks, is one of the pear trees.
Oh yes.
Now, this is one which it always looked healthy. There is 1 or 2 pears, but not many. And this is basically down to the frost. I think it was the frost came out when it was, I can see.
Yes, if you get frost
there.
or cold
There is
weather,
quite a few
yeah.
actually on that side. So
Oh
probably,
yes, I think.
Oh
Looks
no,
like,
they're the apples.
oh yeah, they're the Brayburns, aren't they?
Yeah, they are, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, now this is interesting. You can see here that next year's fruit buds are already forming. See this little cluster of leaves?
Yeah.
And next year's fruit bud is there. That's where the blossom. That's where the blossom will be coming out.
Don't know whether we can get close enough for you. Let's have a look. There you are.
Yeah, there we are. There's a fruit bud.
Yeah.
It's not formed properly yet, but
No.
it will do. It'll get bigger during the summer.
Wow.
And you can see this tree wants shortening. It's getting far too high.
There's been comments from the council that these need.
Yeah.
We can keep them to 8 feet high.
Yeah. So you don't really.
So
want
8 feet is the height of my hand. So
Yeah.
you can see now that it's about 3 foot. Needs chopping off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the same with the Brayburn tree.
Brayburn,
here.
yeah. Well, there's nothing up there, is there?
No.
We
We could even do that.
We can
earlier.
do that, can't we?
Yeah. Yeah, there's quite a light crop on the Brayburn, but I'm delighted to see that we've got some of our hand-pollinated apples there.
Yeah, yeah. Just point one out, Nigel, so they can see the difference between a...
Well, perhaps they'll be able to tell which are which. If I just get the leaves out the way.
Yeah.
Now, can you see the 2 sorts of apple? You've got some that look normal, like that one.
That one. Can you see how it protrudes out, folks?
Yeah, these little, I think they're called sepals there.
Yeah, yeah. And then this one where goes in, and there's none of that.
Yeah, and the other thing you find with the hand-pollinated apples, they're a bit flatter. It's as if they've been squashed a little bit. Can you see that?
Yeah, yeah.
And there's another one. We call them flattened conical, whereas that one is spherical.
Yeah, yeah.
And we've counted up. Let me just
9,
see.
I think it was.
We've got 9 of them.
Yeah, 9 what was
hand-pollinated
spotted so
apples.
far, anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. Now each apple is going to have about, or being well, about 6 pips in it. 9 fruit. 9 sixes. That's 54. I don't want 54 seedlings from this.
No.
We probably want about 20.
Yeah.
So 2 or 3 apples is going to be ample
Yeah,
for this.
yeah.
Yeah, perhaps we'll set all the pips and then just choose the strongest ones.
Okay.
You know, as the seedlings come up.
And as you can see, folks, there is a lot of weeds. But I think having the allotment set out the way I've done it, it's alleviated a lot of issues what would have happened had it been a conventional old-fashioned plot, because it would have been waist height in weeds, isn't it, Nigel?
Yes, it would. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've just noticed something interesting at the bottom here. The bottom of the plum tree, we've got some shoots coming up. Now I wonder where this is grafted, and whether those would be good for taking cuttings
Okay.
for new trees.
Well, we could try these things, couldn't we?
Yeah, it's possible the graft is about here. These could be
Well, why
root.
is it split?
Well, a lot of plum trees do this.
Do they?
Because as they grow, the trunk swells,
Yeah.
and the bark is not very flexible, and so it splits. In fact, on one of my trees, to avoid this problem, I took my knife and I scored the bark all the way down,
Right.
and the bark then just moves apart
Right.
without splitting elsewhere,
Yeah.
and it's happier.
Right, okay. Well, I thought we were going to get soaked then, Nigel, but it's
Yes,
gone
it seems
away,
to have
hasn't
gone
it?
away, yeah.
Now, just look at this end plum tree. How many new shoots have shot up on here?
Yeah, this looks quite a vigorous one.
It is, isn't
so
it?
fairly soon we need to cut these off.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
otherwise, these new shoots here, these new leaves, this is where the aphids go.
Right, okay.
And so at the very least, even if you don't prune them, you need to take that off,
Yeah, yeah.
so that the aphids are not attracted.
What? And that's the very end.
Yeah.
What's on the very end? What's not on the...
Well,
Is it-
the leaves at the very end are so soft and easily attacked
Right.
And the other thing about aphids is they react to gravity. They always crawl upwards as high as they can get.
Right.
So they always end up right at the tip.
Okay.
So that's where they start.
Right.
It's the same on those beans, broad beans.
Yeah.
You
With
know,
the
the black fly, yeah.
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 Okay. Shall we go down? We'll go down this side and we'll come back up that
Yeah,
side.
okay.
Right. I did put some rhubarb in here, folks. Now, to be honest with you, the rhubarb crops come off near the netted area. I took, I can't remember, yeah, £40 of rhubarb off those 2 plants. And really, I've not really needed to pick anything off anywhere else. So I think I'm going to take these out, I think.
It seems a shame. They're such
It does,
nice
doesn't
plants.
it? Unless we can do a lot of wine making next year.
Yeah, I wonder if you can make cider out of rhubarb.
Well, we'll leave it for the moment, and as you can see, lots of twitch and stuff, but it won't take long to tidy this all up. But just look at the raspberries. I actually had one, well, you can see a red one over in the distance there, folks, and but it's... Would you reckon we're going to get more than £30 off here? I don't.
I reckon you get about. Perhaps you get a few more than that.
Yeah, that's what we had last year.
Yeah.
Did we have 35 pounds? I can't remember.
I think you had about 35 in the
We
freezer.
did, didn't we? Yeah. I think we're going to equal that this year because
everything is absolutely
amazing.
loaded. And the Logan berries are looking good too.
Yeah, aren't they?
Yeah,
In fact, tell you what, let's do this bit and then we'll work our way down. These are all the Salpomira potatoes. They're looking quite good. Apparently they're a bit dry because they're a bit sheltered. Yeah, they are a bit dry. So need to give those a bit of care. We've got those blue Danube potatoes here. And just look at the perennial bed.
Oh, they're looking good, aren't they?
Yeah.
Are they snapdragons at the back? Oh, they are, aren't they? Yeah. These.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they are Sweet Williams.
Yeah. Yeah, lovely
just
colours.
looks so striking. Just look at
Yeah.
that, folks.
Yeah. Oh, what's this? Is this a foxglove coming on?
I think it is, yeah. Yeah. Because it was just a mixture of... I grew the perennial seeds from a packet and I just planted them all in a tray, and then I just took handfuls and put them in.
What are these?
Weed. Oh no, it's
no,
not
it's
weed.
not, it's not.
It's not.
It's got a herby sort of smell.
Has it?
I
Yeah.
don't know what it is.
Yeah, I remember now when I put those in. I
And
don't know what it is.
These white flowers are nice too.
Oh, is that like the leaves? Kind of look like they remind me of pinks.
Yeah, my mother has got one of these plants, and Alison's got one as well, and it spreads
Right.
like a carpet, and it looks great in the winter, even when there's no flowers on it.
Yeah. And if you look, folks, over here, that's where these were the black currants and red currants. Look at that. That was all taken down to ground. What, those three there?
Is this
Because I thought I was going to get rid of them.
Oh, that's the black currant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they'll be the red currants.
Yes.
And after when we started making the wine, I thought, well, we can use it for the wine.
Black currants make nice wine,
Yeah.
especially if you blend them.
Yeah. So next year we'll have those to look forward to. And the gooseberry hiding away here. Let's look at those.
Oh, those are a good size.
Look at those.
Yeah, if you're going to make wine from gooseberries, it's a good idea to get them before they're ripe. You want them when they're nice and sharp.
Right. So you reckon those could be picked?
Well, with gooseberries, you don't pick all of them. What you do is you pick some of them,
Yeah.
and then you go back later and pick some of the others if you want them riper. But you pick them in several batches.
No, I mean for winemaking.
For winemaking, it's a good time now to get them, I think.
Get them. Right.
Are they about full size?
Yeah.
Oh, they're still quite hard.
Yeah.
Can I try one just to see
Yeah,
what
they won't taste very nice.
Yeah, but I'll be able to tell whether they're nearly ripe or nowhere near ripe.
Okay.
Oh, that's fairly close.
Is it?
Yeah. they'd be okay for winemaking now.
Okay. So we could, because my mum and dad aren't fond of that one.
Okay.
So I could pick those for the wine, freeze them.
Well, the broad beans have got a bit of black fly.
They have, yeah.
That's
and
a shame.
basically they've, we think the soil was too rich and not enough of it for the roots.
Yeah,
They were meant to be doubled up, these, but because my mother was ill, yeah, look at that, the black fly.
Yeah.
Because mother was ill for the last, 9 weeks, I never got round to doubling them up, so.
Yeah.
And this, folks, is the Livingstone rhubarb, which is meant to fruit for 10 months of the year.
It looks different to the other rhubarb. The leaves are not the same.
Yeah, you're quite right. It does.
They're a slightly different colour.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
smaller.
Yeah. So that's looking promising, I think. For
Do you know anything about this? Have you had that before? You've never grown it before?
No, I bought these. And the onions, I think they've got that. What is it? Allium.
Oh, it's that insect that makes them curl up.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Yeah. Allium. Oh God, I've forgotten
we
now.
need Sally to tell us what it is.
Oh, I know what it is. I've just forgotten the name. Apparently a lot of people on the allotment here are having the same issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and it's wiped out a lot of crops in Holland.
Right, yeah.
Did we say about the loganberries? We didn't, did we? The loganberries here, folks, are absolutely loaded. And we've just had, I had one the other, no I didn't pick one the other day. You've just had one now to try.
Yeah, it was
And
right.
these will be in the next week to 2 weeks. We'll be start picking these.
Yeah. Do you want to make some loganberry wine again?
We do, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what this is all for.
Yeah.
All 3 bushes.
Well, we'll use that muslin bag method again. Because mine from last year, it's nearly ready, but it's still slightly cloudy. It's still not ready, the bottle.
Yeah. Well, we've got that finings and what have you as well, so.
Yeah, well, we'll try that. We'll do some experiments. Some
we'll
with finings, without.
And we'll do them side by side, perhaps.
Yeah.
We'll get the fruit frozen and then we'll. Yeah. I suppose that. I mean, we're already into July nearly, aren't we? We're only a week to go.
Yeah, was it 24th today? Yeah.
When I suppose September is about when we start with the wine. Oh no, last year we started. This time, didn't we?
We did some in July.
We did.
Yeah.
So that was the rhubarb, wasn't it? Was it the rhubarb? The loganberry?
I think the loganberry was July, and I think the rhubarb, some of it was late July, and we did some more in September using frozen.
Right. Okay, well, we're going to have plenty this year.
Yeah.
So, for yourself and for me.
Yeah, my store for wine is full.
It's going to be even fuller after this year, Nigel.
Yeah.
Sorry.
These are looking good.
I know.
Are these marigolds?
No, they're
What are they?
Californian poppy, I believe.
Oh.
Yeah. We did a little bit of filming yesterday, just more or less silent. It was only a quick one, folks, but if you look here, you can see that the bees really do enjoy their foxgloves. And for those of you who are not in the UK, there is apparently a shortage of bees over here. They're on the decline, so you need to do everything you can to attract these fine specimens. Just look at them.
Yeah.
They really are fascinating to watch. And
Now, what sort of bees are these? These are not honeybees.
you know, I'm not a bee expert.
No, I'm not an expert, but
No.
they look to me a little bit like tree bees. No, I think they're a bit big for bumblebees. I think they're probably tree bees. There are quite a lot of those around, but they live in bird boxes usually around.
Right. And the Sweet Williams, fantastic. Never grown them before. These were all grown from seed last year.
Yeah.
and they continued growing all through the winter.
They make good plants, haven't they?
Yeah. And just look at these. Just look at these, folks. Now aren't they beautiful? Just look at the intricacy of those petals. And the ruffled ones, the double, or I can't remember what, all different varieties.
I wonder if they'll cross with each other.
That I don't know.
It'll be interesting to see
Well,
in say years
and
time.
just look at these, the vibrant colours of these. And the bees, there's dozens of bees on these foxgloves. You wouldn't think there was a shortage, would you?
No, you wouldn't.
And that's probably why there's a shortage, because there's very few people these days who have flowers in the garden. They have a lot of shrubs and things, but there's not.
Well, a lot of it's for minimum maintenance, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Just because people are busy and they're out at work.
Yeah. And generally, the interest in gardening isn't there like it used to be. Yes. Just look. Absolutely amazing. So these beds were initially planted with, I was hoping they were going to come up with the cornflowers. The cornflowers, however, never materialised. Neither the seeds what I sown nor the plants what I planted, the seedlings. They just didn't happen. I put it probably down to the a lot of the wet weather we've had, the heavy rain.
Yeah, it could be.
And these are the autumn raspberries and the blueberry. Look at this then, Nigel.
This is blueberry?
Blueberry.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I put that in April, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
And interestingly, folks, it hasn't been put in any of that special soil. It's just bog standard multi-compost.
Right, okay.
And it's raining. Shall we just take shelter a second? Okay. Well, folks, we've been cut short on the allotment tour, although we did show you most of it. Due to the rain, it keeps coming and going. So rather than continuing to film and damage the camera outside, we've got it just inside the polytunnel here, looking out at the flowers. And we thought Nigel and I would just have a little discussion about what we're hoping to do in the next few months.
Yeah, we've got a few videos planned. Next week we're heading to Foxton Locks, where we have a little orchard project going on, and we'll be doing a tree planting. We've got, I think, 4 Leicestershire varieties, and I've been asked to supply a tree as well. So I possibly will supply a Leicestershire unique seedling, one of the new seedlings that we found growing wild in Leicestershire. Then there's the other orchard project that we'll be visiting reasonably soon at Bocheston, where we're setting up a 1-acre orchard.
There's quite a few trees there. Is it 80?
Yeah, there's about 80 trees
80,
there.
yeah.
You've got apples, pears, well mainly apples, but pears as well, a mulberry, medlars, cherries,
Plum.
and a plum, and some damsons,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
gauges. So that's going to be a good orchard there once it gets established. They've got quite a few newly grafted Leicestershire trees there too, so I hope they're looking after them. I'm sure they will be.
And then of course we've got the winemaking. Last year was our first year filming winemaking. At the start of the season it was all new for Nigel being in front of the camera, so he was a bit nervous and that. So we're going to revisit some of the fruits what we've used last year, but we're also going to produce the wine in several different batches.
Yeah, so that we can see what happens, for example, if you do a particular wine just with fruit and sugar and yeast and nothing else. And then we could perhaps do the same thing but add some finings at the beginning to see if it clears more quickly.
And we'll have them in the same room, side by side, and then we'll be able to actually see properly what the difference is.
Yeah, and we'll do other similar experiments like that, but we don't quite know exactly what we'll be doing yet.
No. It obviously depends greatly on how the produce materialises off the allotment. As you've just seen, it looks as though we're going to have a very good year for raspberries and loganberries. And the strawberries are not looking too bad. And we've got some blackberries.
Yeah, we haven't made a blackberry wine yet, but blackberries do make very nice wine if you blend them with something suitable. They can be blended with apples quite well, and with loganberries they're pretty good, and with cherries. But when you do a blend, it's a good idea to sample the mixture a few days after you've started it, just to make sure that the flavour is properly balanced.
Okay. We're going to be doing another series on apple tasting. Obviously the apples will taste different year by year, so it's going to be interesting this year to see what the results are like compared to last year, and to see whether the results are actually the same, whether they do taste as good or as bad, or if there's an improvement.
Yeah, and we also have, I think, 2 or possibly 3 varieties which are varieties which I've bred, which are fruiting for the first time, so fingers crossed we should have a few apples on those.
What we must remember, Nigel, is when we taste these apples that you do keep the pips and don't throw them away. Has that ever happened to you, where you've eaten the apple and then realised that you wanted the pips?
No, I've always remembered to save the pips on the apples I wanted to breed from, but what occasionally happens is I put the seeds in an envelope, and then 6 months later I think, I never sowed those, where are they? And there's a frantic search through my paperwork to make sure that they have actually been sown and my memory isn't playing tricks.
Right.
But there was one situation where I forgot to sow seeds from a particular cross, and that was a bit annoying.
Okay. So as you can see, there's different things going on. I'm sure there was something else, but I can't think. I'll be going to the Harrogate Flower Show this year. Nigel's going to be up there, but he won't be joining us, because you're actually got a meeting up with your...
Yeah, so I've got another interest, which is collecting radio drama recordings, and I'm on the committee of a little group that we're all collectors of recordings, and we're meeting up on that day for our annual meeting at Harrogate.
Yeah. I would have liked, personally, to gone back to the Melbourne Autumn Show, because I love that. But unfortunately, the allotment group's not doing it, so...
No, I would have liked Malvern again,
yeah.
but perhaps next year.
Yeah. I might still go if I can find a trip that goes there. I think that's about covered it.
Yeah, I think that's
well,
for now.
Yeah.
We're also going to be heading towards a nearby village where I've got a couple of plots to have an update of the progress I'm making there.
Yeah. So that, and the project, my long-term project, my dream. There has been interest from various authorities. Is that the word you'd call them? I don't know what the word...
I'm not quite... I think it is probably authorities, yeah. It is, people that are involved with organising
caring or gardening, you know.
And volunteer groups.
Volunteer groups, yeah. So there's 3 which are showing an interest, so, and one's going to help me out with advertising. So, you know, that's slowly going now. We've not been getting any donations the last week, but it's still early days. And I think as time progresses and I do a few little updates on who's involved, when we know who wants to be involved and who wants to have their name mentioned, then perhaps things might start rolling again, and probably when it's been advertised. But I'm certainly not giving up on that. I think that it'd bring a lot of interest, wouldn't it?
I think it would, and to start with, I don't think a lot of money is going to be involved. We've met up with 1 or 2 people who are sort of facilitators for groups of volunteers, master gardeners, people like that, and they're giving us lots of leads to follow up.
Yeah. So how do you fancy having an acre of fruit trees, Nigel?
Well, my plate is full at the moment.
I know it is, but if you had an acre more...
I'd have to find somebody to run it for me. I'd tell them what to do, but I wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of new seedlings ready to be planted up, of something like 200 this year, which between now and October I'm hoping they will grow enough to put in the ground, and that's going to be quite a big job.
I suppose what would be interesting is, if you had an area like that, is to have it divided into established trees, and then 1, 2 year and whatever, like sections, and then people would be able to see how the trees progress.
Yes, that could be quite interesting. Though one job that you have to make sure is not done by volunteers is labelling, because labelling has to be correct and double checked and triple checked and then checked again.
And it also, you have to use the right materials.
And I always do that, and it's always log mapped and everything in duplicate.
Yeah.
Right, I think that's all we've got to say,
yeah,
really.
That's it. Okay, thanks, Nigel. See you soon, folks.